See what?
You still can't get it.
I'm not going to. I wasn't there.
Hey, Rick.
You hurt me, so I didn't do that.
Given by Mr. Kimmer and the pledge of allegiance given by Mr. Mike Ashburn.
Almighty God, we give you thanks and praise for your great goodness towards us. Be with the mayor and council this evening as they go about the public business. Lead, guide, and direct them in all that they do. Keep this community in your grace. These things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is Aaron Franklin, MBA, recognized fire department.
Good evening. The Muscular Dystrophy Association our mission is to transform the lives of individuals living with ALS, muscular dystrophy, and other related neuromuscular diseases. We do that through innovations in care and innovations in science. And we are only able to do that through partnerships. For 65 years, the firefighters have been our longest and strongest partner. And tonight, I'd like to recognize the Scottsboro Fire Department Chief Nicholas and Lieutenant Dicus for their support every year for our Fill a Dude program. May I present them with this?
Absolutely, sir.
Give it to him, he did all the work.
I'm going to shake Chief's hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much. I'm going to give this to you so you can put it in the department. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hit that thing again.
I'll drop that and I'll just hear it in a minute. Here it is. All right.
I think Mr. Wallace broke that chair.
I'm ruffled furniture.
Good, item number 2, the Industrial Development Board, San Diego expansion. Lawyer, Matt, Blake.
Thank you, Mr. President. We appreciate y'all letting us get on the agenda tonight. Council members, Ms. Whitney, and Mayor. Our industrial development, our industrial development board owns the building in the industrial park, and we lease it to Sano. We've been in that building for almost 20 years now. We started back in 2000. I believe they started probably with around 25, 30 employees, about 20,000 square feet. This expansion that we're looking at for their benefit will be the 7th expansion. They're up over 300 employees. They plan on spending about $3 million in new equipment and hiring between 30 and 40 new employees. So they've been a good corporate citizen for us for a long time, been a good tenant in this building. But in order for us to expand the building and create these additional jobs, for them to create these additional jobs, we're going to need to borrow some money and build a 31,000 square foot expansion. Going to have to build some parking. They're running out of parking space. So we've been working on this for almost a year now, and we're closing in on it. Matt's with us here. Matt has Raymond James on financing. We're going to need to do a bond issue to raise the money, and then of course we'll be adjusting the lease with Sano to cover the payments. But y'all, we need y'all to support our project. We need y'all to basically co-sign, endorse the project, stand good for it, because the IDB in itself doesn't have any money. But we've got a good tenant that's been there for 19 years, and so we don't expect it to be glitches. Matt, I'll let you kind of talk a little bit about the financing, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'll walk you through a little bit of what will be happening in the next couple of months so that you understand when we're before you next what we're asking for and what the process requires. So we basically wanted to come before you on this work session because on the 22nd there'll be an item on your agenda for City Council to approve the ordinance and the grant agreement for Sano between the IDB board and Sano. And basically, that document needs to be approved in advance of us selling bonds for several reasons. One, there's a Japanese holiday that lasts for about a week in our financing schedule that otherwise conflicts with when we would normally have it approved. But the second thing is, without City Council's approval for the grant from the IDB to Sano, we wouldn't have really a financing to take place, if that makes sense. So you'll be approving that on the 22nd. That doesn't approve the actual financing or the terms of the financing documents. That'll come later. City Council will vote on that at a later date and time. We'll go through a 772 process, which basically would keep this debt off of the City of Scottsboro's debt limit, so it doesn't count against your debt limit. We've already started that process, and we'll be finishing that process sometime after the 22nd. The lease will be signed by Sano in advance of this, again, because of the holiday that is ongoing in Japan towards the later part of April. And then we actually plan on selling the bonds on May the 1st. So at that point in time, those of you who've been through this process know that that's kind of when we lock in the interest rate. That's when we have the terms completed, and we would anticipate that City Council would come back and approve those terms of the financing sometime shortly thereafter, probably based on our schedule May the 2nd in a special meeting. And so we'll check the dates with Whitney and make sure that everybody's available then. But again, this process will run. It'll keep the debt off of the City of Scottsboro's debt limit. The city is pledging a general obligation behind it, as Roy said, just kind of a co-sign with the IDB board, so that the IDB can actually go out and borrow the money, since the IDB doesn't really have taxing authority or anything else. But the debt will be paid by Sano. This is virtually identical to the same structure that we had in 2012. Sano, as Roy said, has just been a fantastic partner on that financing. We've never had any problems or hiccups from them over the last 7 years, and we don't anticipate any on this. It's virtually the same structure as what we did in 2012. Any questions about it? I have to answer the mechanics of it.
And I guess for information, as much as anything, to the Sano's credit, they're just adding to the existing lease. They're not going to extend the life of the lease, which speaks to how healthy their business is and contracts required.
Well, so Mayor, they're actually, it's actually a new lease that they're entering into. It just takes into account the 2012 payments and now adds the 2019 payments on top.
Correct.
Any other questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I was just going to commend you on the work that you did, Matt, and Roy, and Blake, and the whole board. We appreciate the due diligence that you did.
Thank you.
Next week is our council meeting, of course, the 29th is the 5th Monday. Can you let us know, because I'll have to announce it next week, if we're going to call a special meeting on the 2nd?
I can. Actually, what we'll do is I'll have Kane Burnett get with Whitney and get with Mr. Kimmer and make sure the notice is published and all that stuff, and make sure that we'll poll everybody, make sure we've got a quorum. Okay, we won't poll everybody. We will make sure that we have enough people here for a quorum. I'm sorry for having to call a special call meeting, but because of the way the lease has to fall and the way the financing has to fall, to get construction bids in and everything, we kind of have to have it. Otherwise, we're facing some price increases if we wait too much longer.
I just know that we were on the 5th Monday and we don't meet, and I just didn't want to not have a meeting.
Gotcha.
Call in time.
Thank you. Thanks for the heads up.
Good item number 3, discuss the finance proposals for the fire trucks.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time. First, I want to, just going back to Ms. Franklin and Patrick and everybody over there, they do a great job, and I just want to take an opportunity to let you guys know. They do that on their own. They come to me and say, can we do this? Not me go to them and say, go do this. So really good guys over there, and I appreciate her recognizing them, and I want to let you know that. In this folder I handed out, we're facing a point where we're going to have to start looking at replacing fire engines. And I know everybody's replacing something right now, it seems like. But, I talked to most of you individually with the idea that I've had for a long time, which is to purchase 3 fire engines at one time. And the benefit from that is, as we talked about, then we have 3 identical trucks. So everything operationally, everything from a training standpoint is all in the same spot. So everybody, regardless of where they are, they know what they're working on and what they're working with. From a maintenance standpoint, I think there's an added benefit because all the oil filters are the same and all the rear ends are the same and so on and so forth. So there's some money saving there. And then from a, I guess a long-term aspect, the benefit is traditionally we have bought a new fire engine and we place it over here at our number 1 station house, and that's about 50+% of our costs. So it stays there until it's time to buy another one. We wear it out over there and then we move it off somewhere. They're all 3 the same. We have the ability to rotate them around every couple of years, which extends the life basically because we're not wearing one out in the first 5 or 6 years of having it. We're able to spread that workload out. So those are the benefits. I expect the cost of this my guess is $1.5 million, about $500 a piece. That's based on what I've seen in other cities buying things that seem like they will fit for us. We're really trying to reduce the size. We're really trying to reduce the bells and whistles, so to speak. We'll still have sirens and lights, but bells and whistles we're going to cut out on. So just trying to simplify our engines and our fire trucks just from a maintenance and long-term standpoint. So I'm estimating that at $500,000 a piece. In anticipation of this, we did prepare a request for financing proposal, and that went out to 8, I believe. We mailed 8 of those. It should be on the second page, should be all this information. We mailed 8 of those and posted one here. Now, I may be wrong about this, Mr. Kimber, but I think financial services does not fall under the state bid law. However, we wanted to make sure that all our local financial institutions, in the spirit of fairness and keeping things around town, had an opportunity. So you can see on that second page how those were open today. So let me make before we get into the details of that, I want to make a second and most important point. All of these funds will come from our fire tax fund. Fire tax, fire property taxes, which is maintained through the county fire marshal and through, as established by the Code of Alabama. And I don't remember the act number with Mr. Kim in mind. So all of those funds will come from that, will not reflect at all in the general fund or influence the general fund whatsoever. Basically, same thing from these guys is we just can't borrow money as the city's fire department. So we have to have somebody that says, hey, we'll back it up and we'll put the fire trucks up against it. So we want to basically secure along with fire trucks. You can see the proposals that came in, or a summary thereof. The local bank that was lowest was FNB. We asked for 12-year notes for 3 fire engines up to $1,650,000, just to give us enough room in case there was a price increase or something else, and keep it where I felt like we could still manage that fund, manage those payments, and keep a reserve in the fund. So you can see those proposals. There's more information in amortization, one of those bank words. There's a schedule there, what I expect with some prepayments built in to pay this off in earlier than 12 years. Looking at having this done by 2029. And then you can see on the last staple page, my projected incomes and outflows out of the fire tax fund. So you'll see that we always maintain a reserve, and starting with 2024 begin making $50,000 and $100,000 prepayments on that loan and still maintain a healthy tactical reserve in case something goes bad. So that's what we have. The only other thing I would ask is the council, this council, because of timing and because of elections and everything else, I think we ought to address this at this point. If when we, assuming we do authorize, I think me and the mayor would be okay, I don't know, on this account, somebody to enter into this loan. I think that's probably up to what you think, but assuming we do that, I would also like this council by resolution to say that anything that we have purchased in the past out of that property tax fund that's dedicated to fire equipment goes into a special account that does not reflect on the general fund or anything else for the city, so that we don't mix up the fire tax, fire equipment money, and city monies and reflect anything. So I'd like for us to, from this point forward, anything that we buy or have bought with that money remains separated. I think it's just cleaner.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
as I understand it, the fire tax money is handled in such a way we get about $275,000 a year.
That is, that's what we're getting now. That tax, and you can see my projections for the next 12 years, I don't show any increase there, because there's no way to know. I've never known property taxes to get less, or property values to get less, without some crazy cash. So I anticipate that will continue to rise, theoretically, with the cost of inflation and the cost of my projections for the rate go up too.
The format, as I understand it, is the fire department places a requisition from the fire tax money to the county fire marshal.
That is correct.
Would the county fire marshal be willing to approve 12 years?
Yes, sir.
Need something?
Based on our conversations, yes, and I can get that. If we need something, just authorizing that.
He is a very reasonable man. I think there would be any problems. It's just something that pops to mind.
Normally, it's just every time you need money, you do a requisition.
Yeah, so
The money's sitting over there in the county, so.
the requisition process, and not to downplay the process because I do think it's valid, but generally, if the requisition process verifies that A, it's fire equipment, you're not buying somebody some pizza, or something, or a car, or whatever else, and B, that the money is actually available. But I will get something from
Along that line, on the resolution for anything in the future would come out of the fire tax. Also, I think need to have something that anything is sold as surplus that was bought with that money would go back to that fund instead.
that was the intent. Anything that we have bought.
Just don't want anything to
As
end
we-
up back in the black hole, as we call it.
Well, I don't know, I saw a picture of that last week, but anything that we bought over, from that fund as we surplus it, vehicles and equipment, is what we buy from there. So anything that we have purchased as we surplus it and sell it, we just want to keep it separate from city funds. I think that's cleaner, for everybody's purposes.
Any questions?
I think this would be a good buy, because we get that money every year and it has to go toward equipment. And this will be the money.
Doing them all at once will allow us to pay for them in well under 12 years. My guess is 9, based on those projections. And it will also allow us to meet our other needs, and with an expected, generally a life expectancy of 18 to 20 years on the fire engine. So we'll have plenty of time to reserve enough money so that whoever's making that call has the options in 20 years to purchase them outright if they don't. I don't know if I'll be here in 20 years.
Any other questions?
Gene, by rotating, how much time will that save that truck?
I'm guessing just based on my numbers and the amount of call volume and the numbers I did, I don't know if I brought that with me. 30% less exposure is what I figured, run exposure, so 30% less time on the road per truck. So, again, that's extending the life theoretically that long. Everything's in theory when it comes to man-made equipment.
With the number of house calls, medical calls you go to now, you actually are needing a smaller truck.
Smaller trucks are going to benefit us in a number of ways. One, they're going to be cheaper, they're going to be less expensive, they're going to be easier to maintain, just because of the wear and the tear on the vehicle itself from going around. Two, maneuvering, some of our streets and some of our driveways are difficult, to say the least, with longer wheelbases. So we're guessing we can reduce the wheelbase on our last engine by about, I want to say it was 4 feet between the wheels we can cut out just by making some modifications in the way we stock those trucks.
What kind of lead times are you looking at?
Generally 12 months. I've got a pretty good spec that I've based off of some things Hoover's done, some things Opelika, have done, and kind of blended those together to something that I think will fit us. So, we've got most of the legwork done. I think 12 to 13 months we can probably get those in service. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, feel free to call.
Gene, we'll put that on next week's agenda and just
And I'll
get
get
that letter.
additional information.
Fine, Marshall.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Also, I'm gonna put that for the ordinance for the, on next week's agenda as well. I forgot to take that. Next item 4 is discuss the Volker Engineering Highway Access Management and Signal Improvements Contract. Mayor?
You've got before you the contract from Volker to do the engineering work for the grant project that was recently approved. The contract is for $191,562. Right at $105,000 is paid by state. You authorize this contract, it still has to go to the state, and they have to review it, and they have to authorize it before it can be issued.
Any questions? I'll put that on next week's agenda. So item number 5, discuss the mower for the cemetery department. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Cemetery department, pretty much each year, they have to replace a mower. We've gotten 3 bids. They're requesting that we purchase the mower from Scottsboro Small Engines. It's $5,100 is the quote. And it normally comes with a 2-year warranty, but they've offered a 3-year, as Benny calls it, bumper to bumper. And they'll even provide a loaner if, in the event that it has to go into the shop for repair.
Any questions on that? We'll add that on this week's agenda as well. But item number 6, discuss the mower for the street department.
They're requesting to purchase, obviously with all the mowing they do, they prefer a diesel engine. We got 3 quotes. The quote is from John Deere that they're asking to be approved, $16,500. The mower there will be replacing, it was purchased in July of 2009, so they've pretty much gotten 10 years out of it. And it was for $10,000 back then. And we'll be surplusing that if you approve the purchase of this.
Just remember if it's over 15, is that, that's the
Question.
yes.
Career Tires Force is 14,725.
Correct.
Why did we not go with the low bid? Is it warranty, is that what it is? or-
They had in the engine on the mower that they quoted, they've had problems with that type engine in the past.
The Kubota engine?
Yes.
How long a warranty is the John Deere? Is it 3 years?
It's in the document here, 36 months. Or $1,500.
So there were 3 bids.
Yes, sir.
Here's the one for 10.
The other was, gas. They didn't offer a diesel. From Scottsboro Small Engines.
What was the warranty on Tire Force?
and Wayne's not here.
Right. Can we get it for next Monday?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? No, we'll put that on next week's agenda as well. Go to item number 7, discuss 2 additional knuckle boomers. Mayor.
Okay, last week, council approved spending $141,456 from sales tax for the purchase of 1 knuckle boom. I'm asking that you consider purchasing 2 more. In front of you, you've got a finance sheet. Lee Smith was the one that you purchased the one from. They've offered financing for 3 trucks over 5 years, and if you see at the bottom of the page, we've already reserved $141,456 for payment of a knuckle boom, and we have in our capital equipment from surplus equipment from the dump truck and a Kubota tractor, one of the 2 tractors that we've just surplus, we've got $45,000. So you can see if we were to, and these trucks aren't going to be available the 1st of July, but if we purchase 3, we've got the first 2 years financing covered, just with sales tax allocated and surplus equipment. And then you should have in your packet the repair history on these knuckle booms. There should be a spreadsheet in there that shows the 5 knuckle booms over the last 5.5 years, what we spent on repair costs. It's
That's the last page.
last page, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know what it said. And so what we're asking is to replace 3 of them. So we feel like we're going backwards as far as what we're putting out in repair costs. Quick.
Any questions?
Are we replacing the one that's using the most maintenance,
Yes, sir.
not going by the year long? Or,
Yeah, well, it's pretty, yeah, you can see here.
They've all got some age on them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I like about 5, but that's probably asking a little too much for that, because Gene gets fire truck.
Have income energy. Any other questions? No, we'll put it on next week's agenda as well.
Thank you.
Go to item number 8, discuss part-time temporary employee street parking benefit. Mayor.
Time notes. In the past, the city has used some seasonal temporary employees for the street department. We're asking for this again. It would be a budget amendment for 2 employees for a total of 13 weeks for $14,427. And this would, with the hiring applications, hiring, interview and all that, we're anticipating somewhere around the end of May, 1st of June, that they would actually go to work, if we can find them.
Any questions?
Where are these employees going to be doing?
They'll be assigned, we're gonna have a crew, we're working out the details, we've got to do some sidewalk repair, one may be with that crew, we've got some ditches that we've got a lot of work to do. Projects that we've got to get caught up on.
Any other questions? We'll put this on next week's agenda as well.
Okay. Thank
Put item number 9, discuss side-by-side replacement for the landfill. Mayor.
you. We had one other temporary employee request. For the landfill.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, there should be a sheet. Stacy is asking for, seasonal 13 weeks as well, for a total of $13,000 for that labor cost at the landfill. And these employees, or this employee would only work on an as-need basis, so they wouldn't be on the payroll if it's raining or they can't run equipment.
Any questions? Let's put that in. Go to item number 9, discuss the side-by-side replacement for
This is something that they're requesting to replace, piece of equipment up there that's over 10 years old, I think. This is off Sourcewell through John Deere. It's for $21,510. I think it's needing an engine and it's like $4,000 repair. And equipment's over 10 years old. And this would come out of their solid waste capital equipment fund.
Has it been put out for bid?
It's off, this is Sourcewell is state
State
contract.
bid.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
So this is coming out of their budget money, I can't remember.
That capital equipment fund that's reserved for the landfill.
Any other questions?
I'm gonna say this, can we wait and see exactly what Stacy's gonna have to have, because I know there's some more equipment.
Yeah, well, this is, we can wait, this is one of the things that he had asked for.
Is it a priority?
Well, yeah, is it a priority? I mean, I
understand.
I know there's some more equipment I think he's gonna be looking at, just
Sure.
to total number.
We can hold off.
Because I know he was working on a list.
Yeah, correct.
We'll wait, put that on, discuss it again in another work session.
Okay.
We'll go to reports. Mayor?
Only thing I've got is, as you all know, Wayne Moore's dad passed away just in the night, funeral tomorrow. Just keep him and his family in your prayers.
Richard?
I don't have anything. I appreciate y'all for coming.
Greg?
Just thank everyone for coming out and exactly what the mayor said about Wayne and his family. Just remember that. That's all.
Mike?
Went to market on the square this weekend. Despite the rain, there was a lot of people. And we can't seem to catch a break with the events that are up there, but even though there were several people there. I appreciate y'all coming out.
Here.
No, just thank everyone for being here tonight.
Just want to say something about Wayne and his family, just thinking about them. I want to thank Matt, what y'all do for us, Roy and the IDB board, and think about all the jobs that Sano over the past years that brought to Scottsboro, and looking forward to hopefully getting that expansion done and bring some more workers here. So that's what we need. Thank y'all. Thank everyone that came out tonight. We're adjourned.